lastnight.news30.com to register.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I think our listener may have nailed it. Michael Bennet, the senator from Colorado.
He was there last night?
He reminded me of O.P. Taylor from the Andy Griffith Show. That's conjured up in my mind. Now, somebody else tweeted in at us, though. Mr. Mackey from South Park. All right, let's see here.
Okay,
let's see here. Listen to Michael Bennet. Doesn't
Right.
matter what he's saying. And then we'll see Mr. Mackey. Don't worry about what he's saying. It's immaterial.
First of all, the president's racist rhetoric should be enough grounds for everybody in this country to vote him out of office.
All right, that's not right. And then now Mr. Mackey.
Now, as I was saying, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs.
That's pretty close.
If you do them, you're bad because drugs are bad. Okay.
Okay.
If we can't admit tonight what's in the plan, which is banning employer-based insurance, we're not going to be able to admit that when Donald Trump is accusing Democrats of doing that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I think if you add the okay, you can get away with it. All right, well, so Bennett may have something to fall back on. That's good. Also, just a bit of a scheduling note because given the woke suburban communities in Illinois and Chicagoland, I assume Kristen Gillibrand will be making stops here. So, you may want to fire an email into her campaign or whatnot. Kirsten Gillibrand, who, to me, inauthentically and inartfully, because she's, an idiot, embodies the Democrat Socialist Party, sponsor of the GND, Deindustrializing America, for eliminating private health insurance. And she said this last night.
I don't believe that it's the responsibility of Corey and Kamala to be the only voice that takes on these issues of institutional racism, systemic racism in our country. I think as a white woman of privilege who is a U.S. Senator running for President of the United States, it is also my responsibility to lift up those voices that aren't being listened to. And I can talk to those white women in the suburbs that voted for Trump and explain to them what white privilege actually is. That when their son is walking down a street with a bag of M&Ms in his pocket, wearing a hoodie, his whiteness is what protects him from not being shot.
In Glencoe.
When their child has a car that breaks down and he knocks on someone's door for help and the door opens and the help is given, it's his whiteness that protects him from being shot.
In Highland Park.
That is what white privilege in America is today. And so my responsibility is to not only lift up those stories, but explain to communities across America, like I did in Youngstown, Ohio, to a young mother, that this is all of our responsibilities and that together we can make our community stronger.
Yeah.
Like
so,
if they doing Hinsdale.
Just email the Gillibrand campaign, and I'm sure she'll be happy to schedule soirees at Oak Park Country Club and Skokie Country Club. It's not going to be Bobolink or Old Elm because those are Shore Acres, maybe Evanston Country Club, Ruth Lake. Hinsdale Country Club, all the country clubs where these very politically active women hang out.
I hear about their white privilege.
Yeah, or maybe a little wine and cheese thing in front at somebody who's got the dutiful gay flag and hate has no home here sign in their yard out there, Hinsdale Way, something like that. This great white women of privilege suburban tour, and I just can't wait for the locales in which she may visit and the environment in which she may host these events to educate women about white privilege. The only reason your son doesn't get shot in, Winnetka is because of his whiteness. She's got it sussed out, that identity politics. I mean, the mindlessness of it all. I was reminded listening to Christian Gillibrand, my favorite observation that I apply routinely
Yes.
because it's so spot on with respect to the left. And boy, this was back in a simpler day. William F. Buckley's reaction after enduring Bill Clinton's first inaugural address, in which he said he had to drop I'll do it in a bit. I had to drop an ashtray on the ground to make sure gravity still existed. That's sort of my takeaway from the last 2 nights and 5 hours of 20 socialists prattling on like Kirsten Gillibrand. For more on the prattling on, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Cortes, CNN political commentator and a member of Trump's Hispanic Advisory Council. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Hello, Amy.
Morning. So Joe Biden at least pulled out of his political death spiral for the moment last night, it would seem to me. And so what's your handle on, after seeing that all these candidates for a couple of months now, on who you think would be the best matchup for Trump?
Right. Well, let me just say quickly about Joe Biden, too. Look, I think he did better than he did in Miami, but that is an incredibly low bar. Let's be, very honest.
Sure.
I think he was still bumbling and fumbling quite a bit last night. And I'm also, of course, always shocked at how hard the mainstream media is trying to paint him as a moderate. They are dying to give him that label of the moderate Democrat. There's nothing moderate about being in favor of abortion all the way up until birth. There's nothing moderate about saying that we want taxpayer-funded health care for illegal aliens. Joe Biden has moved to both of those positions. So if he was a moderate in the past, and I think he probably was in decades past, he's certainly not today. But having said that, I do think that he would be the toughest opponent for us to take on next year. I do. I think that he has a likability and he has the capacity to reach out to working class Americans that most Democrats simply do not. Certainly Hillary Clinton didn't in 2016. And I think the other candidates in this field would not in 2020, except for Joe Biden. But having said that, I also don't believe that he can be the nominee eventually. My strong take, and I would bet money on this, is that it's going to be Kamala Harris. I really think that she has I think she has the recipe in the Democratic primary to win. I do think, though, I'll tell you this, as a Trump partisan, I relish taking her on in the general election because I think she will be easily beaten. She's far too radical. She's far too much of a Californian, quite frankly, and she's far too inexperienced. So I would be most hesitant about taking on Joe Biden, but I don't think that's going to happen. I very much anticipate taking on Kamala Harris, and I think that's who will be our opponent come next fall.
Well, she was not prepared at all last night, I don't think. And when she was attacked by her opponents, about her time as a prosecutor and her health care plans, there's a lot of vacillation going on. But besides Kamala and Biden, is there anyone else who you thought would get a bump from the last 2 nights of the debates?